The Minnesota Timberwolves are in a pretty odd situation, if you ask me, just because, like, they have three young guys who a lot of teams would love to have, the first one being Karl-Anthony Towns, who, I mean, do I really need to fill you in on how good Towns is just as an offensive talent? Like, you can make the argument he's already the second or third best center in the NBA, if not number one, I'm sure some people would say, even if the team itself isn't winning. I mean, offensively, the dude's just through a roof already with his mid-range shooting, showing signs as a three-point shooter, excellent free throw shooter, great finishing inside, posting up, as well as like a guy who can actually dribble the ball and be an athlete at the same time. The dude's great, and the one area that he really has to improve on is defense, and that's kind of going to be like a thing for this Timberwolves team. Next, we talk about Andrew Wiggins. Offensively, he's pretty damn impressive as well. But the thing with Wiggins, and this is where it kind of begins with who they should be drafting here in Jonathan Isaac, is that Wiggins is all about his offense. He's all about scoring right now. He hasn't shown a lot of signs of being like a playmaker or a defensive player, which is similar to Towns. And of course, these guys have potential to step up and really be defensive players. But as of right now, they're just not really there. And I think this team, what they could really use is a guy and a couple of guys, really, who aren't concerned with just putting the ball in the basket all the time, but more guys who can just fit in around an Andrew Wiggins, around a Karl-Anthony Towns. And that's what we're going to be talking about with the T-Wolves and who they should be drafting in this upcoming class. And I would say Zach LaVine fits into what Wiggins and Towns are currently as well. They're guys who like to shoot the ball, and I mean, I think Towns can definitely grow into like a great all-around player. He's already beginning to do it. But these guys definitely have some work to do. And the only real playmaker on the team right now is Ricky Rubio. And he's like probably the one dude who can make an impact while not wanting to score a whole bunch of points. If I look at the rest of this team, you know, the talent just isn't really like that great. It's okay, but it's not something to marvel at either. Like, I mean, Cole Aldrich has played some backup center minutes for them. Cool. They recently signed Omri Caspi, who I think can be a nice shooter, but you know, that's a nice piece. Shabazz Muhammad, I have no idea if he has a place on this team moving forward. And then, of course, like I mentioned, this team isn't very good defensively. So what they need is they just need someone who can be like a defensive player, fit in well offensively, provide spacing and shooting, and not care about scoring too much. And that's where Jonathan Isaac comes into play. A small forward / power forward who may not be like an elite athlete, but he's a damn good one nonetheless. Now immediately, he's a decent defensive player. Now he's going to have to get stronger and bigger because he does have a thin frame, but he has shown a lot of effort on defense, which is important, and given his maybe a little above average athleticism, he seems like he can be pretty gifted on that side of the floor, or at least like just a solid defender. I'm thinking like an Iman Shumpert, who you might not consider to be like an elite defensive player, but a damn good one nonetheless. Someone who could probably defend more than one position, defend some power forwards, and up to some point guards, being pretty versatile on that side of the floor, which of course the T-Wolves definitely need. But I also think he's not a guy who shot the ball too much in college. He only attempted about 8 shots a game. Now some of that was because they just didn't run enough offense for him. But he still showed a willingness to like not have to shoot all the time. And that's the type of guy the T-Wolves need right now, man. Like, they need someone who can help out Rubio a bit with his passing. I mean, Isaac's never going to lead an offense, but it's a nice thing to have. And also, he shot like 35% from 3 in college. His jumper looks good. His free throw percentage was good. So you have a guy who could be nice on defense, someone who can be effective in transition, but also be a three-point shooter, someone to just space the floor for everything that Minnesota is doing. Isaac's like the ideal type of dude. Like, every team needs these low-usage players who they might not call upon all the time, but they can still be a better team because of having those guys on the roster. He's also a very strong rebounder, and that's a testament to just the amount of hustle that he puts in while he's playing. And I mean, how can it make the rest of the guys better? Well, immediately, you can't just double team Towns as much on the low block because there's another guy out there who can shoot. I'm also interested to see Isaac at the small ball 4 next to Towns playing center. Andrew Wiggins will have more room to operate because you, again, will just not be able to bring as many double teams. Because, I mean, you could, but Isaac has shown an ability to hit his set open threes. And if he really works on that, that can be good. Ricky Rubio can hit him in transition because Isaac has shown a real ability to, like, just be a part of an offense, even if he's not going to be the leader. I mean, I made the Iman Shumpert comparison to Isaac. I think it's kind of accurate. The difference is he probably has more defensive versatility than Shumpert does, while being perhaps a little less athletic. I don't know, but he also has shown like a real three-point shot, whereas Shumpert has just figured that out right now. So Isaac seems like a strong, just all-around role player from heaven with his rebounding, defense, three-point shooting, and I think that's exactly what the Timberwolves need, is just guys like this. You know, if you're going to have Towns and Levine and Wiggins taking all the shots, then you're going to need a guy like Isaac who can just kind of fit in and make them better, even if he's not necessarily jumping out of the stat sheet.